What's going on? Welcome back. It's the Boxing Addicts. We're back at it again. I'm the Ghetto Phenom. To my left, E-Beezy, Mike D. We're here to talk about coming up real soon. Actually, tomorrow we got a big fight, biggest fight at least of the month. We got Tony Margarito going up against Sugar Shane Mosley at welterweight. E-Beezy, what do you think about this fight?
Well, I'm stuck on my, I'm stuck on trying to figure out a pick at this point. I can't help but think that Margarito is going to stop him, but Mosley has never been stopped, so it's hard to pick somebody to knock him out. But you look at the type of fighter Margarito is and the type of fighters Mosley has problems with, it could be a night that Mosley gets the KO, or that Margarito gets the KO.
So you think Mosley causes problems for Margarito?
I don't think he causes any problems for Margarito that Margarito can't handle. It's just this version of Shane Mosley and this version of Margarito, it just seems like a bad combination, bad timing for Mosley. I think Margarito's probably in his prime. I think Mosley's probably more on the downside. Mosley probably will hear the final bell, but on the same note, it wouldn't surprise me if he did.
Yeah, I mean, Shane, he's shown enough of a chin and enough, I guess, ring savvy to where if he gets hurt, he knows when to retreat. He's still quick enough to where he'll be able to retreat when he gets in trouble enough. I almost disagree with you a little bit on Mosley has a style that'll give Margarito trouble because he's not really rangy enough. He's not. Margarito's had trouble with bigger men, whether it be taller or just, when he moved up to 154 and had a little trouble. But Shane, yeah, he's going to be faster, but he doesn't move around as much as he used to. Doesn't necessarily use that jab.
Perfect example was his last fight with Mayorga.
Right.
Shane didn't look sharp. He looked, part of it could be that he was somewhat rusty. He could have been Mayorga's awkward style, but he just didn't look sharp. For his skill set and Mayorga's skill set, it seemed like Mosley made it a much more difficult fight than it had to be.
Right.
Matter of fact, it really was close going into the championship rounds.
Yeah, even the fight, the first fight against Vargas,
right.
Shot Vargas, that was a toss-up fight until to the end. So I don't know. I think Shane has another good performance in him. I think he's going to look good for a while. I don't know if Margarito will stop him. We'll see. There's a slight chance. I guess we all agree Margarito is a clear-cut favorite. Right. Last week we had Andre Berto defending his title against Luis Collazo at a very close fight. Some people say it was a robbery. Some people say it was just a close decision. Could have gone either way. What do you think?
I don't think it was a robbery. I think it was a close fight. I've seen way worse decisions, but I myself, I probably would have to give a nod to Collazo. A lot of rounds, he was busier. And being that boxing is a point-related system, he's got to get credit for that work, Berto landed the harder punches, but at the same time, Collazo's work rate in a lot of the earlier rounds, I think he put in the bank and hit it down the stretch. You add in the point deduction he had, yeah, I think probably Collazo has a good argument in saying that, it should have been a winner.
Speaking about that point deduction, what do you guys think? Was it a little premature? Should he maybe gotten another warning, or what do you think about that point deduction?
It was a little early in the fight for that. He had given him a couple of warnings, but that type of fight, both of them were, it's just a lot of infight going on. So it's a lot of clutching and holding by both guys. Mm-hmm. So I think to penalize him, at that point of the fight, I didn't like it.
Right.
With that point deduction, I thought Collazo definitely won. I thought he did a little more. He was a little more crisp. Berto, fought a good fight. Could have gone either way. but I thought Collazo probably deserved it. I think we saw a, you know, an occurrence where the younger, more exciting guy with the bigger future, you know, gets that close nod based on his future as opposed to, you know.
Well, yeah,
right
with Collazo too, so he just might be that guy who really, you know, yeah,
Like,
we
he's
saw
like-
with Hatton.
It's like the welterweight Glenn Johnson. Man.
Yeah.
Collazo showed a hell of a chin in that fight. I mean, he got hit clean and solid, and you know he walked through all of that. So I was impressed by Collazo.
So what next?
For who? Berto?
Yeah, I would say more importantly, Berto. You know, is he ready for the elite? In my opinion, you know, I would say a rematch is in order for that before he jumps up in class.
Yeah, I mean, whether or not he does a rematch, I don't think it's completely necessary.
Right.
Collazo is one of those guys that's going to give anybody trouble,
Right.
you know, in that division. And he's a guy where, you know, I guess his stature or maybe his style will get him a lot of title fights, but it's not necessarily going to get him a lot of wins. But for Berto, I mean, he's undefeated champion. You know, I think he's good enough, if nothing else, to compete with the top guys. You know, I think he can beat some of them. So I say go ahead and try to unify, try to get that money while he's young and strong, and you know.
That Margarito.
So, based on how close the bout was, what do you think the next step for Berto is? Do you think he goes? He's going to continue to be an HBO headliner and fight some of the elite guys at 47, or do you think he goes back to kind of being baby with some of the more, you know, easier guys towards the bottom of the ranks?
Really, it could probably go either way. Depends on how confident his promoter is from that performance. I mean, like we talked about, Collazo's a tough competitor. You know, he's going to give anybody trouble. So I don't think they should be fearful because you know he had a tough fight against Luis Collazo. But I think he's ready. He's an undefeated young champion. You know, he did well. He pulled out a victory, even if it was a close victory, against Collazo, who is, you know, a former champion on a world-class level, you know, regardless. So I think he has to get in there with the big names. I really don't want to see him going in there against, you know, nobodies and bums. So.
Okay. So, on that same note, how do you think, Eric, he stacks up against the Shane Mosleys, the Margaritos, the Paul Williams, and I guess somewhat, you know, I can't really say Pacquiao, but some of the other top guys?
Well, I think that with a fighter like Berto, we're not going to know until he's going to learn a lot from this past fight, obviously. You know, so he's going to take that back to the gym, and you know, we might not know until he gets in there with those guys. So, you know, I think he would, you know, be right in there with any of those names that you mentioned. You know, whether he wins or loses, you know, I'd have to see him in the actual fight.
Yeah, I think against a guy like Mosley, you know, I think he's young and hungry enough. His skill set, you know, as well as his physical abilities are enough to where he can get a guy like Mosley. You know, a guy like Margarito or Paul Williams, you know, I don't think he would beat them, but I think he's at a point where, you know, he's got to think about fighting them.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I just see him doing the baby. I think Lou DiBella thinks he's got too much of a future star in this guy. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing him fight the no-name gatekeepers again. That's the way I think. They're saying a Collazo rematch, but based on the way he looks, unless he can get a few fights in between, I think it's back to the drawing board for Collazo. And I think they're gonna continue to wean Andre Berto until they're absolutely sure, and then maybe catch one of the elite guys on the way down and get a name on the resume.